Hey guys, I'm Willis here with another Escape from Tarkov video, and today we're going to go over our Tier 2 trader gear. I'm going to highlight a few items that you need to be buying at Tier 2 to ensure your survival, as well as any gear that you guys may enjoy and what not to buy because it may be a little bit overpriced than what the market might be. This is really important because, again, we want to increase our survivability for the money we spend, and helping us get that kind of vertical recoil down just a little bit, tier by tier for each trader, is a very crucial to make you make your shots, and then also surviving by making those shots as well. So let's jump right into some tier 2 traders and what to buy, what not to buy. If you guys like this, go ahead and drop a like, comment, and subscribe. Have a great day and enjoy the video. All right, guys, so this is gonna be a little bit of a shorter video than the first one. Tier 2, not many traders have a lot of great stuff. A lot of them are kind of just stuff you're missing in tier 1, like sights and certain foregrips and handguards and stuff like that. So once again, we're kind of looking at the same amount of gear, but yeah, I mean, it's still, a lot of it's super important. More of it's gonna be more meds and armor. That's gonna be more vital to your survival than anything else. So first off, here we have our AKs. You don't really get much for M4s. You get a couple handguards, but none of them are significant. Peacekeeper, you pretty much just get 9mm ammo, and the RFB, I guess. The RFB arguably isn't that great early on. If you can get some M62 and M61 for it, great. But other than that, I mean, I'd rather use the M1A and save up for that. So here we're going to go ahead and start out with our AKs. So if you are using AKs, either 545 or 762, again, most 545 stuff is exchangeable 762, mostly except for the muzzle brake. Those are going to be the only things that are completely different. So for the 545, again, you're going to go ahead and take off the handguard. We also have the CAA RS-47, which is sold by Peacekeeper. It's about probably the only useful AK part that he sells. So definitely pick that up. Again, it can go on either one. I'll show you on both sides. Throw it on. It does have a rail on all four sides. So if you do like the sight on the front, you can put the normal dust cover on the back, and you can use the sight on the front. Or once again, we can go ahead and use the Bastion dust cover as well, and you can put the sight on the back. Now, once again, you can use the AK-100. Unfortunately, you don't get the RK1 foregrip until later. The foregrip you're going to be using is going to be the same one as before, the RK6. It's not fantastic, but also not awful. So look for that one. It's the same one we've been using the last few times. Also, you'll have access to the RK4, which does about the same stuff, a little bit more expensive. I think it's got like +1 extra ergonomic, so keep your eye on that as well. Now, talking about rail systems, we now have access to the Klesh flashlight and laser designator. This is my all-around favorite tactical device. It's got a flashlight, and it also has a red laser that you can turn on together. Flashlights now don't give you the hipfire buff like they used to. So now, as long as it's a laser designator, which you can turn them both on at once, it helps out with blinding your enemy as well as getting those hipfire bonuses as well. Now, one thing that is super overlooked, and a lot of people go right to the stocks, the nice fancy PT1 stock with the PT mount. This little bumper pad, recoil pad thing with the stocks does actually 1 extra recoil percentage than this, and it costs 3,000 rubles, and it fits on most stocks. I think it fits on all but like 1 or 2 of the wooden stocks. Other than that, it fits on everything. Keep your eye out for this, because this thing's only like 3K, and it does extra 5%, where most wooden stocks do about 33. So therefore you have 38% off, where the PT1 only does 37. You get that little extra recoil buff without looking so fancy. So if you want to spend the extra money and look fancy, go ahead and get the PT lock with the PT stock. This, however, does fit on the standard AK stock. However, if you see here, it is -30 plus the 5, so -35, rather than the 37 the PT1 gets you. So actually buying the PT1 for the AKS-74U is worth it. So through Skier, I believe, you now get the Dynacomp Compensator. Now, this is what I use early on for my 7.62 guns. Right now it has a -11 recoil, -3 ergonomics, so +0.4 muzzle velocity, and only a -2% durability burn. So you're not going to increase your durability burn on your guns. For the AK-74N, there's a couple very minor suppressors and muzzle brakes The DTK, which is like 2,000 rubles, it's not really worth sharing because it's not that fantastic, is now available to you. You don't get any really good 545 muzzle brakes until level 3. I believe you get one of the quests done through Prapper, you can get the TGP suppressor. However, again, those increase your durability burn, so you gotta be careful with those a little bit. Now, on to the AKS-74U. Once again, with the suppressor issue, you can throw a TGP on there. However, again, it's gonna hurt the durability. But if you take the foregrip off, the handguard, you can now get the Goliath through, I believe it's mechanic. Yeah, it's mechanic. You can throw this on. Now, once again, you can throw on the sight on the front as well as the Clash. You can throw the Clash flashlight on there with the sight if you like the front sight. If you don't like the front sight, you actually have access to the B11 mount, which we talked about in the first, or the B18, sorry. And then you're able to throw the sight on top of the gun. And again, with this AK, with the AKS-74U, it is actually worth buying the PT lock with the PT1 stock to get the better recoil, as well as the RK4 foregrip. That one leaves you 545 with about 73 recoil, which is not awful. Again, it is an SMG, so go ahead and get close, up and close and personal with this thing. The TGP does help with recoil. However, again, you trade that off with the durability burn, so keep that in mind. So next on the list is going to be shotguns. We do have a couple shotguns here through Jaeger. You can now outright purchase the MP153 shotgun. You can also purchase the MP155 shotgun. They're not terribly different. The MP155 does have a little bit better ergonomics, 51 over the 35. The accuracy is also a lot better. The recoil is a lot more because it is shorter. However, we now have access, tier 1, you do have the access to the cylinder 12, but now you have access to the GK2 muzzle brake, which does help 14% recoil, subtract from the durability burn as well, which is good. So you can actually throw that on the cylinder and you can now get an 8K muzzle device that's actually pretty nice. For either shotgun. You now have access to the 7-round magazine for the MP153 shotguns, and you can throw that right on there. Gives you the 8-round one is an extra 700 rubles, but it's not quite worth the one extra round. If you want to weigh it and try it, go ahead. However, the ergonomics is hurt by it. This shotgun is also the one you can now put on the fancy little sight we talked about last time for about 7K. You can put it right on the barrel. You don't need any extra attachments. It just goes right on there. As well as now you now have access to the Sprut, and this is all through Jaeger, by the way. Kleshlight is through Skier, like we talked about before. You can actually throw the Klesh on the Sprut and throw that onto the MP153 shotgun. You can do a lot to the MP155 shotgun. However, I don't really deck out my shotguns a lot because for the most part, they're not going to be an accurate weapon. I usually use mine with Magnum Buckshot, or if I'm going to use AP20 or a slug, I'm going to throw a scope on it and make it kind of super nice. And trying to budget your builds, that's not really what this is for. As a side note, Jaeger does have quite a few new buys. You can now buy the 30mm scope mount, which you'll need for any Burris or Voodoo scope. And that goes for only about 4K, so super cheap. You can also now buy the Burris for about 33K. Is a little bit of expensive, but you can now buy them so you can actually use a scope, like a sniper scope with any of your sniper rifles that you use. My favorite sniper rifle, which we don't have access to, is the DVL, but you can also throw this right onto the SV98 like you see here. He also has access to Magnum Buckshot. This is by far the best buckshot in the game. This does massive damage, also shreds armor. It's going to be one of those things that if they have good armor, though, it's buckshot. It's not going to get through it. You also have access to trade or buy a CMS kit now through Jaeger. It goes for about 33,000 rubles. Having a blacked out limb in a raid is an absolute pain in the butt. So these are vital. So being able to buy them is really nice. Also keep your eye out for those 3 nippers. The little like nipper, like toenail nipper thingies. You can trade 3 of those for the CMS kit as well. As well as now we're going to go ahead and talk about a little bit of the meds. So now Therapist has the option to trade for a Grizzly kit. It's a UV lamp and a gas analyzer. I know those are a lot harder to find early on for the quests. However, they do get a little bit easier to find and a lot more common once you know where to look. Aluminum splint, I believe it costs like 2 syringes or something stupid like that. Definitely worth it. Syringes go for about 5-6K. Aluminum splint goes for about 16 to 18K depending what your prices are with Therapist. CMS kits sheet, you can now trade one of these for 2 repellents, and repellents are super common in any like utility spawns and customs, woods, any place like that. So those are super useful to find, and definitely save them up for the trades, because these type of meds, especially the Grizzly. I use the Grizzly for when I get out of raid. You can heal yourself 6 to 7 times when you get out of a raid if you die, and then they cost about 23k. Now, if you go ahead and try to heal yourself after every raid, it's about 10, 11k. So you're spending about half the money to get one of these and heal yourself up. The two very notable things from Ragman, now you can buy bags and stuff like that from them, as well as different face coverings, but those are kind of just not super intense. There's no crazy helmets you can buy. You can buy an ACHHC helmet, which is a level 4 with high ricochet chance, but it's like 60 grand. And again, with helmets, your ricochet chance matters more than your armor class. The SSH 68 helmet, the steel one in the beginning, that's going to be your primary helmet until you can start wearing face shields or a U-lock or something like that can cover the back of your head. The only two things from Ragman are going to be the Comtac headsets if you like the sound of these. If you like the sound of the Comtac headsets, these are going to be what you're going to want to use. Go ahead and try them out. They're only about 22k. So they're cheap. The 6B3 TM armor, which is a level 4, we call this a diaper armor. It has 40 durability max, has 4 2x1s and 4 1x1s. The mobility is not awful. The ergonomics are pretty low, but it is Titan material, which does repair well and holds up very well, rather than your ceramic of your earlier armors and stuff like that are going to break down super quickly. So this is my like go-to early mid-wipe armor. Just because it's level 4, has decent storage. It's just a great all-around rig. Now, Mechanic does have a couple of decent trades. I know I told you you didn't have anything crazy. However, there are 3 trades I'm really going to mention. Glock 50 rounder for 2 Poxer RAM. This is used for the Vector, so if you do get your hands on a 9mm Vector, which you do pretty early with a quest, you're going to want to trade in for some of these because these are super expensive on the market, and the Poxer RAM usually goes for dirt cheap, and it's very commonly found. The MP5 50 rounder as well, you can trade it for a fuel con. Keep in mind you do need 3 fuel con for a mission later on. You need 3 of them found in raid. So if you are taking an MP5, maybe trade in one of these and keep a couple 30 rounders in the back. Kind of balance out. Don't take a bunch of 50 rounders unless you're using a Vector, just because the Vector shoots too fast for the 20 rounders. The last thing that is the Osprey Suppressor is traded for a drill. If you have the extra space and keep the drill, the Osprey Suppressor is great 9mm suppressor. However, it is worth about 33k on the market. The drill is worth about 15k on the market. So it's something you can usually just buy a drill and trade for the suppressor if you need to drop it in raid. The last buy from Mechanic that is super useful is the ammo box. You don't realize how much space ammo takes up until you buy one of these, and then your space is all of a sudden enormous because this thing holds so much. It holds 49 squares and only takes up a 2x2. So you're saving a lot of space with that, and it's only for 182k. Pretty darn cheap for what you get for the space back. Now, Peacekeeper, like I said, doesn't have many new things. You can buy the UMP, but you don't have any great ammo for it. You can also buy the RFB, but again, you don't have great ammo for it. You can get M80 through him. Really, Peacekeeper has his sights. He's got holographic sights, a couple foregrips, and a couple muzzle brakes. But other than that, your main things here are going to be the M80 ammo, which is pretty decent 7.62 by 51 ammo. Does not stand up even close to the M62, M61, M993, but is decent starter ammo for anything you have, like hunters or FALs you want to use. He also says M856A1 if you did stick with the M4s. You can buy an M4 through him now, through Peacekeeper. However, it's like $600, and again, I like to deck out my M4s late game, so I just keep all the receivers and don't even worry about M4s early on. The biggest thing is 9mm is Quake Maker. Now, Quake Maker is something I use in my pistols. I use this in my SMGs. Anyone with level 2, level 3 armor and less, and especially nothing, it does a crazy amount of flesh damage, as well as has a 22% chance for heavy bleed and a 15% chance for light bleed. It does hit your durability a little bit. However, if you are someone who likes to leg man it, even if they do have heavy armor, this ammo is actually underrated. I personally love this ammo early mid wipe, but you definitely got to scale it off with the AP 6.3 when you get that, because once you start going up against armor, this ammo does absolutely nothing. Now, Skier does have a couple weapon I guess, trades and such. You can get the 45 vector, but again, you don't have any great 45. You don't have like 45 AP. The best you have is the Hydro Shock or FMJ. And the mags do cost a strike and a weapons parts. Weapons parts go for about 15k in the market. Strikes usually go for about 12. You can find them quite a bit around. And the gun's 90k, so it is super expensive. However, if you're able to get the shot off first, you're most likely going to shred your opponent. It also has the 300 blackout trade for 2 G-Phone X's and a 1 G-Phone. So keep this in mind. This gun is really good. However, the only ammo you have access to is this, and it's not the greatest. I personally don't use the 300 blackout so I can get late game, and I can get 300 AP pretty consistently. If you are someone who likes 9mm single shot guns, I hate this gun. Never liked it. A lot of my friends love it. This is the gun for you. 9mm STM9 is a great single shot 9mm carbine. Personally not a fan of it, especially for 44k. I'd rather just buy the ADAR and use 5.56. So guys, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I hope this kind of helps you guys out what to buy, what not to buy on tier 2 traders. Again, tier 2 isn't that great. There's not much stuff in tier 2. However, it is kind of nice to know the little highlights that there are. So I hope this helped you guys out. If you guys like this, go ahead and drop a like, comment, and subscribe. And have a great day. Goodbye. Deuces.